Morning, guys. It is Tuesday, and I have a lot of things that I want to talk about with you this morning. And the title of this video is something like what it was like in the beginning. And if I forget, you're gonna have to remind me of that topic, because I have a lot of things that I want to talk about with you guys this morning. So let's just call this a morning conversation with Scottie. I want you to imagine you and I are sitting down in a cafe or something, just talking about things, and I'm just sharing some things with you guys. So one thing I'm going to base the premise of this conversation about is intentionality, being intentional about what you want in life. And there's so many people, I believe, including myself prior to the past 7 years, that have good intentions. I would say that 95% of you guys have good intentions, but I mean by good intentions is you would like to have a better lifestyle, you would like to have better health, you would like to have better relationships, you would like to have heck, even a better home or a better living situation, or even a nicer car that you don't have to worry about breaking down. Or you would like to have the ability to take your kids to Disneyland or Disney World. You have good intentions, but your actions are not intentional in a way that's going to take you in the direction of those goals or those dreams or those aspirations that you have. And I'm going to say that bluntly, that 95% of you have good intentions like that. And you want to do it, and you're a good person, but you're not intentional about the steps that are going to take you there. So just a quick note so you guys understand a little bit about intentional is so many people, who said this? It was from the book As a Man Thinketh. There's some words in there, and good morning, I see you guys all hopping on, that say something, I'm horrible at quoting, but I'm going to paraphrase it, but it says something about everybody's anxious to change their situation, but not willing to change themselves. In order to change your situation, you must change yourself, and you must be intentional about it. So I'm going to share with you guys a couple things. I'm going to have to get up and walk, so you guys, hopefully you don't get dizzy. But over the past 7 years, I've read or listened to over 400 audiobooks on personal development. I've been to Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, Les Brown. These are all seminars I've been to. Brendan Bouchard 2 times. I've been to Chalene Johnson. So I put myself intentionally in the presence of people who have done great things and done great things in the manner of which I want to follow in that path. So my kids, I believe they're going to be very successful. Obviously, we know there's going to be challenges in that. My kids range from age 10 to 2. But one thing is we're very intentional about how we raise them. Our kids, last night our house was a disaster, and we all cleaned up together as teamwork, and that took some leadership to be able to do that. But we don't pay our kids an allowance to clean, to do the dishes, to fold their clothes, to make their beds. We pay our kids an allowance to read. So I'm going to show you something. Every night I intentionally, and Gabby intentionally, lays with our kids in bed for about 10 minutes each. And I'm going to show you what's here. This is Mila's room. Here's her bedside. We have first a journal. So we write down together things that we are grateful for the day. So this is Mila and Dad's journal. So we intentionally write those things down. Here's a book that we're reading together, John C. Maxwell's No Limits. Here's one she's reading on her own. This one is called, I'll show it to you right here, Redefining Joy. Why redefining joy? Because intentionally, she naturally gets angry and mad and upset. So intentionally, she's reading things on how to bring more joy, okay? So there's that. That's Mila's room. I'm going to walk you guys over here. Sorry, I just did build shoulders. Hey, Sandra, I did build shoulders, so I might have to switch arms holding this. So I'm going to walk you guys over here real quick. This is Keena's room. Keena's room has the same thing. A journal, intentionally. Every night we write things that we're grateful for. Or just experiences from the day that mean something to us so that we can remember that. Here's Keena's book that she is reading. John C. Maxwell's Failing Forward. So intentionally, we are working on growing our kids. And one thing that we do is we pay our kids an allowance on, and we help them pick the books. So when she finishes that book, she gets $20. So I just want to share that with you guys. If you want to achieve something in your life, I know we all have good intentions, but you've got to be intentional. So I'm going to set this back down because my Body Beast workout has my arms not functioning so well. So you have to be intentional. So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. I could talk for hours because I have a lot of ideas in my mind. But the intention of this story is to tell you, just briefly help you guys understand, give you something to relate to that makes you say, hey, okay, I'm going to be intentional and I'm just going to start. So, good morning, Keith. Good morning, Sandra. Okay, I'm going to tell you just one story about the beginning of my journey. I was fairly new as a health and fitness coach, business mentor, helping people achieve their goals of living a healthier, more fulfilling lifestyle. And I got this opportunity to be able to go and speak at what you'd call like a coach opportunity presentation in a hotel. Now, in attendance, there was about 9 people. One of which was my wife, one of which was the mentor that invited me there, one of which was a mentor I looked up to that was traveling from out of state, and then about 4 or 5 guests. So, because I was fearful, so afraid of public speaking, I'd never really done it before. This is my first time getting in front of an audience and sharing. And remind you, there's only 8 people. So, I had this piece of paper, 8 by 10 piece of paper, that I printed out a before-after picture of a girl named Jessica, who I helped with P90X before I ever became a coach. So the whole point that I wanted to share as I talked about Team Beachbody was I wanted to share my love and passion and how I felt helping somebody achieve their goals, seeing them lose, in this case, it was about 35 pounds. So I wrote all the notes that I wanted to touch on the back of this piece of paper. So I printed it out, the before after pictures on the front facing the audience, and this side has all the notes that I want to talk about. I got up there, I was supposed to talk for about 15 minutes. I was going to tell my story about P90X losing 38 pounds, my story about how I gained confidence about that, how I fell in love with helping people, about my recent decision to become a coach and to help other people, and to also go out and help other people achieve their goals of health and fitness and help them learn how to build a business online, in person, with health and fitness. So the one thing I remember is I got up there and it lasted about 4, almost 5 minutes. So I got up there, I shared, and here's the thing, guys. I got done with my 5 minutes, which was supposed to be 15 minutes, and I got done and I sat down and I was like, holy crap. I didn't even say anything about helping Jessica lose weight and show the people the picture, which was my main point that I wanted to share. And guys, that was because I was so afraid. I was so afraid of public speaking. I was afraid that I would mumble over my words or whatnot, that I just kind of went blank. I just shared. I don't even know what I said, but I didn't share that. But guys, you know what? I took that as a learning moment and just saying, and made the decision that I'm just going to try. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to continue trying. And here we are, 7 years later, where I can just hop on without a note card. I can just talk about something. I can get invited to go to Nashville and speak in front of 8,000 people, and I don't hold one single note card, and I can deliver the message that I want to deliver. But everybody looks at things as overnight success, that you just arrive there one day. But it's intentionally putting yourself in the position to grow yourself and to challenge yourself and to become better. And so many people, 95% of you, I'd say, look at that as a failure. Look at that sharing, not showing the picture, as a failure and never do it again. When in fact, it's just a learning moment and a growing moment and getting yourself uncomfortable, to where I sat down and said, okay, I was really afraid, but heck, I didn't die. And that's literally how I look at things. If I try something, attempt something, I always look at it like, I didn't die. I learned something, and I'm moving forward. So with that being said, I want you guys to think about what it is that you're fearful of, you're afraid of, and just start doing it. Get more intentional about where you're going and the direction that you want to take your life. No matter where you're at, in your current career field, if you're starting a business, in your health and fitness, like, know exactly what it is that you want to accomplish, write it down, get clear on that purpose, and then in order for your business to grow or your life to grow, you have to grow yourself as a person. So being intentional about that. So I see some questions on here. Tony's saying, do they have to report on what they read? I was paying my youngest $50 for the reports they were reading and reporting faster than I expected. No, Tony, we basically read it together. We read a little bit and then we discuss what we're talking about and how it applies. So that's what we do, is that we just read it together with them and talk about what they're learning and how it can apply to their life right now. So I'm going to tell you guys another story just real quick about my job prior to Team Beachbody. Okay, I worked at this factory. I started sweeping floors because prior I was a dental lab technician. Things happened there. We moved states. I couldn't get a job that paid the bills. So I took a job sweeping floors for $9.50. Guys, like I said in the beginning of this message, is I was intentional about where I wanted to go in that job. I didn't just say like, okay, one day I want to be higher up in this company, be more well paid, be more well respected, have the hours that I want. I didn't just have that intention. I made a plan and consistently made a plan to make that happen. And my philosophy around this is do more than expected, and you're gonna get better than expected results. Okay, so what I did intentionally is my job was to sweep the floors in the factory. The thing is, I could sweep those floors a lot faster than anybody else that prior did it because I work hard. So what I would do is I would intentionally go around and see what everybody did inside of the shop. I would ask them questions about how machines were put together. I would ask them questions on how this CNC machine worked, how does this drill work, how does this saw work, and I remember specifically, one of the first times I started to move forward is I looked at there was a water and sand high pressure cutting machine and a laser. And I would sweep, and when I was sweeping around them, I would ask questions. How do you program this? How do you, when you lay that metal down, why do you lay it like that? Why are you measuring it with a tape measure? So I was curious. Write that down. I was curious. And so what happened is I continually did that. And when I swept, I took the opportunity to help other people. When he's setting down the metal, oh, let me help you get that set up. And then I would help for 5 minutes, and then I would get back to my sweeping job. And I would make sure I got my job done, but I would help in all these different areas. Well, I began to help, and lo and behold, unfortunately, the person that ran the machine had to have a knee replacement and couldn't come to work. So who's the person that intentionally asked questions about how the machine worked? It was me. So I got to run that machine while he was gone because I intentionally put myself in the position to learn about it without being called on to say, hey, we're going to move you up to this. I intentionally learned about the machines. So as I ran that machine, I got into that position. I would go over, once the cut would start, I would go over and ask how the laser worked. How does this work? I would help them. I would learn how it works. Why are you turning that gas knob like that? Why are you pushing these buttons? How do you shut it down? How do you turn it on? And I learned those machines. Lo and behold, that gave me the opportunity to cover both those machines when that guy needed to leave for vacation or when he couldn't come into work. I could do that. So I began to get more curious, and I remember the welders were like the highest paid in the shop. They put the machines together. I would see them come down to get the pieces that I cut and that the laser cut. And I would see that they spent a lot of time searching through all the parts because I don't know, there was maybe 40 welders or whatnot. And they would come look for their parts, and they spent a lot of time searching for the parts that came off of the machines where we cut. So I said, they're the highest paid people down here in the shop, and they're spending a lot of time searching for parts which I could teach a sweeper how to do who's the lowest paid. So I went to the owner, I said, hey, I have an idea. These guys are spending a lot of time. What if when we cut the parts, if you could buy me a whiteboard, I could put it up in the office, and I could organize, I could communicate with the head engineer, the head foreman, see what machines are being built, which welders are building them, see what part numbers coordinate, and we could figure out a system to where when the parts are delivered, we could put them on pallets, make sure all the parts are there, deliver them to their workspace. They never have to leave their workspace, and they can work more efficiently at their job. So I took on that role without being asked. I looked for opportunity and took the opportunity like that. And while I'm doing that, I'm asking the guy, I put the board up in the place where my boss was programming the machines. So what do I do every time I go in and check on things, see where jobs are at, is I ask the guy who's programming what job's coming up, what jobs are going to be cut next so we can get these all delivered. And I begin to ask him, okay, how are you organizing that? That looks kind of like as you are on that computer programming these two machines that we run, how does that work? How do you get the jobs from there to here? How do you decipher cutting a 1-inch steel plate and a 10 gauge steel plate? How do you do all that? And I began to just take a few minutes here and there to learn from him. And then lo and behold, to make the system more efficient, I became the programmer of what he was doing before. I became the programmer and organizing the parts distribution, and he got to do a better leadership role instead of, because he was leading everybody, our department and programming. Now he could just become the leader, and I could be the programmer and help distribute parts. So one thing I want you guys to know about that as I share with that is I was intentional about moving up through there. I didn't just sweep and say, one day I would like to be upstairs in the office and running a department. oh, that would be nice. One day I'm a good person. I know I'm going to be there. I didn't just sweep and do that. I swept and intentionally learned every craft inside of that place so that when opportunities came, I was there. So the one thing, I know I talked a little bit long here, so I want you to apply this to your life, whatever it is you do on building a Beachbody business, building an online brand, working in your career and trying to move up because you want to better your situation, because I believe that's important that you do if it's something that you want. It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So I'm going to leave you guys with that message with a brief story of my life. It didn't just automatically happen on day one of signing up as a coach. It's something I became myself through who I am. So in order for your business to grow to the level that you want to be at, you have to grow yourself. So I love you guys. I know I got a little bit windy today on this conversation, but I want you guys to know that I love you. If this helps you in any sort of way, please share it with somebody else, because I want you to live the best life possible. See you guys later.